Good morning, everybody. We are here the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. And we're going to get started with our pre-market analysis on the S&P 500 futures market. Typically, the day before Thanksgiving is a bullish day. Just historically, that's what we have seen. However, coming into this morning, we're going to see that things look pretty damn bearish right now. Just to kind of quickly talk about yesterday, remember yesterday we did say there was a little bit more weight on the bearish side. However, just judging from what has been happening for pretty much every morning for the last month or two, we have really strong bearish signals. And despite that, the bulls, jump in on the pullback and continue to push. But we did come in yesterday morning noticing all the bearish signals and really not seeing a lot of bullish signals off the lows. So coming out of the open, I believe there was this really strong push here. You can see with these blue candles, this blue candle here out of the open. We tried a long, got about 5 points out of it, and then things started to really get heavy and sell off. And that's when we got sell side and started selling the market going into the end of our session. And then it basically remained sideways here all throughout the overnight session. So sold off from that 95 area, found support at the lows, and then came back up, and basically we've been chopping around inside of yesterday's range. So similar to, I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before that, where we said we were in a pretty tight range here, looking fairly ambivalent. Really need to break out of either side of this choppy area. Probably going to be a similar situation here this morning. So let's go ahead and bring up the ultra high time frames and take a look at what they are saying this morning. Quarterly, as usual, looking strong, no signs of exhaustion. Monthly, looking exactly the same there. Again, came right up to the back end of that trend line, which was just kind of interesting there. And then our weekly looking super wonky in this area with a nice clean bearish divergence that has been tested, but we really haven't kind of pushed above and held above there. And as you can see, this weekly candle looking fairly bearish right now, especially if we end up closing today where we are now. We're a little bit lower. It's going to look like a pretty weekly situation. A pretty bearish situation on the weekly. So as you can see, monthly, weekly, and then down to the daily, all showing bearish signals, which is why we were kind of leaning on the bearish side going into yesterday. So what I'm seeing here from the daily perspective that's kind of new here is the fact that we have pushed to make higher lows compared to the lows we made back on November 10th and November 11th. We've made the higher low here over from yesterday. However, the RVI is flat, so it hasn't made a higher high, and right now is actually making a lower high, even though price has made a higher high. So we do have a situation right here where if we don't break the low from yesterday in today's market, we will have an official bullish signal off this low here. So we're going to want to watch this and see if they can hold the low from yesterday. That's going to be important to see a bullish divergence on the daily. And then when we go to the 4 hour, we essentially have the same situation. There's a bullish argument from the low that we have on the pullback here at 46.60. If they can stay above the low from yesterday, we'll still have that bullish divergence. So we'll have to watch that. Of course, we also have a little bit of a bearish argument from the high from yesterday. And interestingly, we don't really have any type of bearish argument from the previous daily high on the 4 hour here. So a bullish divergence kind of before the open yesterday, bullish divergence from, which is kind of more of an extrapolation, but it's there. A nice local bullish divergence from the previous daily low. Looks like we could potentially have another bullish argument here if we don't break that previous daily low. And then we have this little subsequent bearish signal from the highs of the overnight session here. So going to be important for the bulls to stay above the low of yesterday and come up to break the previous daily high if they're going to be strong here this morning. And let's see if the 60-minute has any agreement. Sure enough, 60-minute also has agreement. But as we get a little bit more resolution off the highs over here, we essentially have gotten a bearish signal on every push higher here. So the high from yesterday got a bearish signal. The push to test the high from yesterday and the failure, that high got a bearish signal. Got another bearish signal in the overnight session here, closer to about 6 p.m. last night on the Pacific coast here, and then another bearish signal off of the high of the overnight session. So a lot of bearish signals every time we try to push, but we do have the bearish case from the lows right now, and that is only there in as long as price stays above that low from yesterday. Once that breaks, all the bullish signals from this area, from the pullback right here, and from the previous daily low where we do have some local bullish divergences there, is all going to be negated. So we have to watch that level. That's going to be important this morning. Going down to our intermediate time frames here, jump up to the 30-minute and just see. So from the previous daily low, definitely a nice clean bullish divergence down there. And now on the current pullback, where we said we have bullish cases on almost every time frame, we also have it on the 30-minute. And in this case, essentially breaking below 53 and the overnight low is going to negate all those signals as well. So pretty much the same scenario all the way through here. If the bulls are going to be strong, and again, like I said, historically, the day before Thanksgiving is bullish, at least in the morning, and then volume will die out as the day goes on. But that's what we see historically. So if they're going to be strong here this morning, the bulls, then we're going to see them defend the previous daily low, if not this pullback to 53 from yesterday, and they're going to push and break the high from yesterday and go ahead and chug higher. So that's kind of what we're looking at this morning. If the bears stay in control, which they have been pretty much since yesterday, since the sell-off from the all-time high, if the bears are going to stay strong, then they're going to break through there and come down and potentially come down and test that low that we had all those bullish signals from back from 46.25 quarter. And as you can see, where we bounced from 25 quarter, if you just look back, a lot of resistance in the market in that general area. Again, you kind of have this chop block right in here. If we sell off, could still potentially find support off of this structure in the market. So just keep that in mind. If they can't hold that area, then it's probably a nice quick shot down into the next KP at 45.88 here, where we then have another region of structure here in the market. So that's what we're looking at coming into the open here. Again, we don't know who's going to gain control. They could potentially just hold right here at 46.60.50. Should be a level that everybody, at least in our trade room, is familiar with. 46.60.50 has been very relevant in the recent past here. So holding this area and then starting to push out could mean that we're going to see that bullish test of the previous daily high. So I'll leave it at that for our YouTube audience. And as usual, we're going to jump down to our short time frames here and look for some decent trades with our members this morning. Just to kind of toot our horns here, as you can see, some pretty good respect of our eye levels throughout the overnight session here. Some pretty good support and resistance. And right now, we found support right off the eye level down here, resistance here, and now it just bounced right off the prediction point. With some bullish signals here on our shorter time frames, including the 10-minute. So right now, if they hold here at 60.50 and they start to push, this could be the beginning of the attempt to push higher. One other thing I forgot to mention, and I need to take a look here on my 4-hour really quickly. It looks like I don't have the exact number, but right now somewhere around 79.50, somewhere right around this CP, essentially, this might be a little bit higher, is 50% of that previous 4-hour level that we watch. And this 72.75 is 50% of the previous day. So if we can, just looking at, so if we can get above 72.75 and get above right around this, let's just say 78 to 80 area, that is going to be the first two lines in the sand for the bulls. We want to see the bulls get through there and get through over here to have any type of confidence in a bullish push. If they can't get through either of those two areas or levels, then it's more than likely going to be a continuation lower. And that could mean a continuation lower for the bigger bounce. Remember, we don't really know. But again, we're going to have to adapt to whatever the market does. And we'll leave it at that for our audience out in YouTube. Have a great holiday weekend. We won't be here Thursday or Friday. And hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And we will see everybody back on Monday bright and early. Take care.